is better, the Houston Texans or the Buffalo Bills? These two teams play on Saturday, wild card weekend, NFL playoffs. In this video, I'm going to break down who I believe is the more talented roster playing in this football game. Not necessarily a prediction, not a preview of the game, but a analysis of who has the better roster. Position by position, I will compare each team, and then at the end of the video, I will tell you who is better, Texans or Bills. Before I dive into my analysis of the Bills and the Texans, Gronk spike the like button, subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this, and comment below your opinion. Who do you think is the more talented team playing on Saturday, the Texans or the Bills? At the quarterback position, we started off with the Houston Texans taking the first category. Deshaun Watson is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in all of the NFL, in my opinion, having a spectacular season with 33 total touchdowns, only turning the football over 12 times through the air with 12 picks, and a 98 passer rating. He nearly had 4,000 yards. He also contributes as a guy who can run the football as well. And I love Josh Allen. Don't get me wrong. I was higher than most with his skills coming out of the draft. I love his ability to extend plays. His cannon of an arm is incredible to watch and witness. But Deshaun Watson is at a different level as a thinker. The quarterback play at the line of scrimmage, understanding defense is a little bit better. Josh Allen still has that gap to make up. He does have the physical tools, and you will be surprised how close he is in regards to Deshaun Watson with those physical tools, even having a better pure arm. But Deshaun Watson is smarter. Deshaun Watson can extend plays a little bit better. He's a little bit savvier. I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson as the elite quarterback in this game to win the first category. At the running back position, I'm also going with the Texans. And there's one main reason I'm going with Houston here. Duke Johnson. Singletary, Hyde. Very even conversation. Hyde had the better overall season, but Singletary was more effective and efficient. 775 yards, 5.1 yards per carry compared to Hyde's 1,070 yards, 4.4 yards per carry with 6 touchdowns. Now, Hyde was powerful. Hyde had maybe his best season of his career, but it's Duke Johnson and his ability to catch the ball which separates the Texans and the Bills running back group, in my opinion. 44 catches, 410 yards, 3 touchdowns for Duke Johnson. He is a difference maker. He is a mismatch nightmare coming out of the backfield. That's why I'm going with the Texans at the running back position. At the wide receiver position, I will also side with the Texans. Don't get me wrong, great stories on the Bills. John Brown, Cole Beasley. Those guys are great stories, and they really help the Bills a ton offensively in 2019. John Brown, 72 catches, over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. At one point, he was leading the AFC in yards. Cole Beasley, 67 receptions, 778 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Great out of the slot, savvy receiver, quick, good with the ball in his hands. But DeAndre Hopkins is arguably the best receiver in the game. Will Fuller, when he's healthy, he is one of the most dynamic deep threats in the entire NFL. And then you have Kenny Stills, who can do a little bit of everything and has that speed element as well. I think these receivers bring the best out of Deshaun Watson and his ability to throw the ball deep. I'm going with the Texans at wide receiver. Adding on to this conversation, the tight ends. Akins, Fells, I am going to say that they are a little bit more talented in terms of bringing more to the Texans offense than what the Bills tight ends bring, with 418 yards from Akins, Fells with 341, 9 total touchdowns between the two of them. Knox has been good, and Knox can take advantage of one-on-ones when you leave him on an island, and he does have deceptive speed and ability, but I like the Texans because they utilize their tight ends a little bit better. They utilize them more, and I'm going to say that the Texans wide receiver tight end group does get the edge here. Along the offensive line, I'm going to the Buffalo Bills for the first time in this video. Now, Houston did make a big addition this season to the offensive line with Tunsil at left tackle, and he's by far their best offensive lineman, ranking 17th by PFF. But when you look at the entire offensive line, I still think you need to go with the Buffalo Bills. Dawkins is pretty good at left tackle, ranking 24th by PFF. Morse is one of the better centers in the game, in my opinion. Really, their weak spot is the right tackle for both teams, with Ford and Clark at 75 and 73 on PFF's offensive tackle rankings. I just think that could be taken advantage of defensively. But when you look at the entire line, it's more consistent for Buffalo. Adjusted line yards, the Buffalo Bills are better, ranking 16th, which is the push in the run game. And then when you look at adjusted sack rate, they are also better by 4 spots, 23 compared to 27 for Houston. So Buffalo, I will say, has the better overall offensive line. Now let's head to the opposite side of the football in the interior defensive line. I think a lot of people would say that the Buffalo Bills overall have a better defense, and it starts here in the interior. The Bills have gotten great play out of some players that, we didn't really expect them to blow up this season. Whether it's their first-round pick, Oliver, who ranks 76 from PFF with 5 sacks, 16.5 hurries. Phillips, who's really came out of nowhere, 9.5 sacks, 10 hurries. Run defense-wise, Buffalo does rank 4 spots higher than Houston, 18th, while Houston ranks 22nd. So overall, I do like Buffalo's interior group a little bit better. I will say that Houston is more built to stop the run with their interior guys like DJ Reader, who's the best of the group. 18 hurries, 2.5 sacks. He ranks 5th by PFF. He's the best of all these players, in my opinion, all around. He can disrupt in the pass game, but he's more of a run stuffer in the run game. Dunn, Blackson, Watkins also contribute to this group, but I do believe that the duo of Phillips and Oliver is better than any duo that the Texans have in the interior of their defensive line. So I will side with Buffalo here in the first defensive category. Now, looking at the edge players, we have the added element of J.J. Watt coming back, and I don't think that he will be 100% in this game, but nonetheless, I will say that Houston has the more dynamic edge defenders. It is close, though. J.J. Watt, when he's fully healthy, is still one of the best defensive players in all of football. Ranking number 6 by PFF at the edge position, had 4 sacks before he was injured. Adjusted sack rate, though, has been very low for Houston this year, only 29th, while Buffalo is actually ranked 13th. So when J.J. Watt was not on the field, Houston has been a lot worse in terms of just not getting an impact and bodies around the quarterback. Whitney Merciless has picked up some of the slack, though, without Watt with 7.5 sacks and has finally been healthy. Scarlett has been a nice addition as well to this edge group. Now, looking at Buffalo, Jerry Hughes, Murphy, Lawson, all of these guys contribute. Hughes with 4.5 sacks and over 30 hurries. Murphy also 30 hurries on the season and 5 sacks, and Lawson leads the way with 6.5 sacks. A very spread out group, while the Texans are mostly about J.J. Watt, but I will still say that Houston's duo of Watt and Merciless, when they are healthy, they're dynamic, they're difficult to stop, and they can ruin an offense's game plan. At the linebacker position, I will go back to the Buffalo Bills. I really like the Bills linebackers. I think this is arguably the most underrated group in all of football. Whether that's Edmonds in the middle, the young player has really grown into his role as the leader of the Bills defense this season. 115 tackles. He is just such an athlete. He's tall, he's rangy, he's good in coverage because of his speed and his length. But then you throw in a Milano, who's extremely smart at the position, ranking 29th by PFF. Lorenzo Alexander does a little bit of everything, whether that's rush the passer, play in coverage, play traditional linebacker. You flip it to Houston. McKinney, I say, is their best linebacker. He is that traditional 3-4 inside linebacker. Cunningham as well has played really well this season with 137 tackles. That is a really underrated duo as well. They play a different style of defense, so it's kind of hard to say who is better in terms of scheme. But I will say that Buffalo is slightly better because I do like their athletic ability a little bit more. I think they're less susceptible in the pass game, and that's why I'll go with Buffalo at the linebacker position. In the secondary, I am going to Buffalo as well. I think this might be the biggest advantage that any team has in any category, period. Tre'Davious White is one of the best corners in the game. I'd probably rank him number 2 or number 3 right now. 6 interceptions, which tied the league lead. He ranked 15th by PFF overall. He's an excellent zone corner, and that's a majority of what the Bills play. A lot of zone. He's just really smart. He's got enough speed to stay with speedy guys. He's got enough length to stay with longer guys. He's physical and tough enough to stay with some of these physical guys. It's going to be an excellent matchup to see him go one-on-one with DeAndre Hopkins a majority of the game. I love their safety duo with Hyde and Poyer, both ranking in the top 22 by PFF. 3 forced fumbles by Poyer this season. He is a playmaker. Hyde is really the reason that they're allowed to play the style of zone that they do, because he kind of is the general in the back of their defense in the way that he plays and ranges in the back end. And then you have the Johnson brothers, I like to call them. Not bad players, specifically Kevin Johnson. And then Levi Wallace is primarily the other boundary corner outside of Tre'Davious White. He's been a little banged up, but I do believe that he will be good to go in this game. I don't mind him either. I don't think any of them really stand out at corner other than Tre'Davious White, but they're really good role players. Now on the Texans, Bradley Roby has been the corner that stands out to me, ranking 48th by PFF. The surprising part is PFF is not a lover of the corners on the Texans. I guess it's not that surprising if you watch the Texans, but 48th is the highest they have any of their corners. Their safety play has been improved this season, though, with Justin Reed ranking 14th by PFF. He's a really good player, a good playmaker. He's got tons of speed. He reads quarterbacks' eyes very well, and he makes a lot of plays that go unnoticed for that secondary. Jonathan Joseph has been there for a long time, but he continues to play at a decent level. Gibson, Adai, they play more of the in-box safety role. And then you have Connolly, who's just added to the team in mid-season. He's been okay since adding him, but he's more of like the additional role player for the secondary. Overall, though, Buffalo has more talent in the secondary. I love their safety duo, and Tre'Davious White can lock down an entire side of the field. Now let's switch to the special teams. We're done with the defense. We're done with the offense. Special teams-wise, I will go with the Houston Texans. And the reason being here is it's relatively even. I will say, though, Hoshka, the kicker of the Buffalo Bills, has actually kind of struggled this year. He hasn't been at his best, and he has missed more kicks than I usually typically see him miss. I love Andre Roberts as a returner, but I just don't think in terms of a coverage unit, in terms of a punting unit, they're on the level of Houston. Houston ranks higher in both areas of starting field position on offense and specifically on defense, where they rank in the top 3, allowing their defense to be put in better positions. And that's a lot to do with Anger, who's a really great punter. He is a really good punter. He's one of the better punters in the league, and they signed him for a reason. I think the Houston Texans are slightly better on the special teams. I don't think it's anything that is going to determine this game overall, but I do think I have to give them the advantage if I had to pick one or the other. Now, the final category is the head coach. The final category I am giving to the Buffalo Bills. McDermott is a better coach at this point than Bill O'Brien. I've never really been a huge Bill O'Brien fan, and that's saying a lot because he initially came from New England. But McDermott is just such a genius on the defensive side of the ball. O'Brien's thing is offense, and I don't really see him being at the same level that McDermott is at on defense. He is such a great game planner. He shuts down a lot of the best offenses in the game, and he really has a good control over his players in motivation and getting them prepared for the game, and I think they believe in his message. Not saying that the Texans don't believe in O'Brien's, but I just have to give the advantage for the schematics and the thinking and the motivation to McDermott. Both coaches have not fared well in the playoffs. McDermott is 0-1, and O'Brien is 1-3. We'll see who gets the victory on Saturday. Overall, if you've been counting, it's actually a tie, 5-5. This is arguably the tightest game of the weekend, and I don't see it being any different according to my analysis on all the positions comparing this team head-to-head. Because it's a tie, I will give the final decision to the home team. So I'm going to go with the Houston Texans 6-5 with the final decision of home field getting that much of an edge over the Buffalo Bills. Let me know in the comment section below who you think is a more talented football team. It doesn't have to be who you think is going to win, but who do you think is more talented in the comments? If you also want to let me know who you think is going to win, you can as well in the comments below. Thanks, guys, for watching. Gronk spiked the like button. We'll see you soon. Peace.